Well, the situation wasn't pleasant, no matter how you look at it. As if the corporation, the KGB, and Catherine weren't enough of a headache. Why do you keep dragging Catherine into this? We haven't seen Catherine at all in the last 2.5 hours. You keep bringing up Catherine. Homie, Kagome's story is very detached from Catherine. Get your mind off of Catherine. Like, in the grand scheme of things, the corporation and the KGB, those are big entities. And Catherine. Like, Catherine. And not in a sexy way. And, like, Catherine. Who gives a shit? How is that still in the forefront of your mind, my guy? Like, I'm dealing with so many things right now. The corporation. They're all the way they've, like, passively aggressively threatened me, and the KGB, this espionage agency, watch me all the time, and Catherine, my former lover who showed up. Like, yeah, obviously Catherine has some kind of connection to the intrigue of it, like her mother is involved in some way, but it's like, I just love that it just cracks me up, honestly, the fact that he's like, the corporation, the KGB, and Catherine. It's like, my God, one of these things is not like the other. That started as a pointless fight with the school's elite with no chances of winning it. Ellie was clearly right about one thing. Putting yourself in someone else's shoes is a stupid idea. What? No, I think it's how you act depending on that. It's a good idea to put yourself in someone's shoes and realize what they're dealing with. But then how you respond to what you get out of that is a different story. Just a week ago, I wouldn't even thought of any of this. What changed? Well, that was pretty obvious. Sure, I needed to talk with Kagome, but what would it do? I didn't want to repeat the same thing for the 100th time and had no other way to persuade her. Besides, I still didn't quite know what I thought about what she'd done. Maybe in a different situation, in a world of absolute equality, I would have punched Asakura long before Kagome. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of most norms, rules, and laws, but when I ended up looking down the barrel of the gun, I started seriously considering their necessity. Asakura clearly knew she was invincible within the given quasi-social institute, or school. She hadn't thought someone could fight back, especially so violently. Under different circumstances, she would have probably been much more polite, while still staying within the unspoken accepted rules of this community. Kagome, meanwhile, ended up not giving a shit about said unspoken rules. I wonder why she hadn't pushed back earlier. In the end, I came to the conclusion that I couldn't blame Kagome despite the thoughtlessness of her actions, and that they would likely have to take care of their consequences together. When I entered the classroom, I could feel the air almost ring with tension. Asakura's desk was empty, and an exclusion zone seemed to have formed around Kagome. The girls were whispering about something, gathered together in the corner of the classroom, while the guys were behaving like normal. Not all of them, though. Yep. As soon as I sat down, Michael and Kyosuke approached me. Nick, we heard what happened at the gate. He was speaking quietly, but everybody was trying not to look at us anyway. You have my most decisive greetings, friends. I exclaimed loudly to demonstrate that I wasn't going to follow those stupid rules, unlike the others. Would you be quiet? Kyosuke hissed at me. Don't try to shut my mouth. I'm not a criminal, and people have no reason to keep quiet and look away when they see me. Criminal or not, you got yourself into a nasty situation. It's been exaggerated beyond measure by Asakura, I'm sure. Michael said reasonably. I sighed and looked up to him. My friend was calm as usual. I, on the other hand, was fed up with all this injustice. Having more acquaintances and influence, Asakura could easily present the facts in the way most convenient for her, hence distorting the truth. On the other hand, who was I to talk about the truth? Our perception of events is formed by a plethora of factors and looks nothing like the static moment captured in a photograph. I just don't want to be wrongly accused. Nobody's accusing you of anything yet. Exactly, yet. Nick, we've talked about this already. Kyosuke started apologetically. I thought it was clear last time. I snapped at him and turned away. I don't want to be reprimanded for nothing again. Nick, our silence won't change anything. Fine, so what do you think I did wrong? How about for a start you let me tell you what really happened? It's like this. Asakura and Co. painted on my door yesterday and broke a window. Except Asakura says you did it yourself to accuse her. Really? And she made a nimble preemptive strike too. It's always better to be the first to admit the existence of the accusation, and there's no risk of being caught off guard later on. Why would I do that? Who do you believe? Nick, but why would they do something like that? After all, Ellie-sama's friends aren't some street dogs. Yeah? What's the difference? He didn't reply, and neither did Michael. I wasn't expecting this from you guys. We believe you, but what does it change? You keep escalating this pointless conflict, and for what? For what? I repeated, thinking it over. Of course, in the given situation, I was already protecting myself from their attacks. But that wasn't how it started. If it hadn't been for Kagome, I wouldn't have had any problem with them at all. So then, I'd been protecting her and all went from there. But why would I? Just because both of us had issues with Kobayashi Corporation? You can't win anyway. You do realize an accusation without evidence is about as much of an offense as what you say they've done, right? And if you can't prove that they really did it... Oh, come on. Everyone knows nobody would try to accuse them without a reason. Are you sure about that? In all honesty, I wasn't sure about anything at this point. It always seemed to me that there was some sort of higher justice that doesn't have to be constantly proven to people. Maybe it did exist in the USSR, or maybe I just felt like that because I had been a child there. But the older I got, the more convinced I was getting that. But the older I got, the more convinced I was getting that in the end, those with the most rights end up as those in the right. Okay, and what do you think I should do? Keep quiet and sit still, hoping I'll get lucky and won't get hurt? Depends on what you want. And what do I want? Michael stared at me unblinkingly but said nothing. Umura-san is really that important to you. Why do I need a personal interest to stand for justice? I exclaimed, but nobody even looked in my direction. Because we're not in an anime or manga. You're the last person I want to hear something like that from. But if even, oh my god, why can't I talk? But if even Kyosuke was saying that I was detached from reality, something was definitely wrong. But he's essentially right, Nick. Right or not, why am I never right? Once again, I received no answer. Fine, so what do you suggest I do? We're ready to support you, but only if you're confident about what you're doing. Confident about what? You know what I mean. Suddenly, I didn't even want to ask him again. So, are you? How much of an effect did how Kagome was treated at school have on our joint venture? Or was that not the only thing I was worried about? I'm gonna have so many fucking saves, it's gonna be great. I'm glad they gave me 20 pages worth. That's gonna be necessary. Are you? Haha. Yes. Yes, I am. Otherwise, why would I do all that? Who knows with you? Kyosuke said with a good-natured smile. Asakura returned to the classroom right before the bell rang. Didn't even glance at me. Kagome was sitting with an even more absent-minded look to her than usual. Class went unsurprisingly peacefully, and since I didn't want to make the conflict any worse, I tried to attract as little attention as possible. After cooling down a bit, I realized that Kyosuke and Michael were right, in essence, if not in the finer details. If you decide to oppose the system, at least be smart about it. Gathering everyone involved in the schoolyard for a showdown in front of the entire school clearly wasn't the best decision. And now I had to deal with the consequences. Kagome hadn't been in favor with the school's upper echelons even before that, but now things could turn into a real witch hunt against her. At the same time, I realized that Asakura and co. would need some time to recover from the shock, and more importantly, convince Ellie that they hadn't done anything wrong. At the moment, she was the judge and the jury. By retaliating right away, they would only confirm that I was right. At the very least, that meant I had some time to collect my thoughts, regroup, and think of an adequate defense for facing them next time. And there would be a next time. That I was sure of. When class was over and the bell rang for the last time, Kagome packed her things and walked out of the classroom so quickly that I didn't even have the time to do anything. Yes, I still believe that Asakura and Kawashima wouldn't try to take revenge on the heels of this morning's scene, but better safe than sorry. Catching Kyosuke's chiding look, I ran after Kagome. She changed her shoes pretty quickly, too, not leaving me enough time to even tie my laces. Ran into the schoolyard and immediately heard a familiar voice. Hey, what's the hurry? I turned around and saw Ellie, who was standing in the same place behind a locker as this morning. Well, I powerlessly watched as Kagome disappear behind the school fence. Don't worry about her. Everything's going to be fine. I've talked to the girls. You talked? About what? I probably had a very silly look on my face, because Ellie suddenly smiled. You asked me yourself, don't you remember? Yeah, of course, I just didn't think you believed me. Let's take a walk. Sure. We walked out of the gate, and accompanied by the shocked looks of other students, went the direction away from the station that Kagome must have been in such a rush to get to. Okay. When the school was left far behind, Ellie finally stopped. Won't your bodyguards be worried? They are my nannies, she huffed, but immediately brought the serious look back to her face. It's a shame that you take me for a common stupid rich girl. I don't. To be honest, I hadn't prepared for this conversation, so I didn't know how to react. I can play music, or rock music, but only because my grandfather silently allows it. It's something like a game. I behave well and try not to get involved in anything too nasty, and he pretends nothing's going on. So what do you think will happen if I break this truce? I don't know, but what does that have to do with... Point is, I have to keep up appearances in public. Ellie continued, as if not noticing me. I'm not the one who makes the rules, but it's not in my interest to break them. So what will happen if you tell your friends that their behavior is, let's say, inappropriate? I asked timidly. At the very least, they won't understand me, that's for starters. And then, even the leader of our pride can't force lions to become vegetarians. What a poetic metaphor. I made a stupid remark, but she ignored me again. Of course I'm sympathetic for your friend like any normal person would be. And then for a moment, Ellie returned to her usual persona of a spoiled Ojo-sama. Except not for her personally, for an abstract individual in her situation. We didn't even know each other a week ago. I was looking at her and couldn't understand who was standing before me. A normal high schooler like myself, the heir to the Kobayashi Empire, the leader of a gang of teenagers, or the vocalist of a rock band. Perhaps all of them at once, or someone else entirely. There was so much unfamiliar about Ellie's life to me that I couldn't even imagine what she was thinking about or what she was feeling. If I, Himitsu, Kagome, even Catherine were basic substances, she was a chemical compound with an incomprehensible name. The more convinced of it I became, the more guilty I felt about the conclusions I jumped to after the incident at the swimming pool. Honestly, I'm not the one to be giving you advice here. Yes, I want to protect Iwamura, because I believe it's the right thing to do. You're the only one who knows all the circumstances of your life. I appreciate it. She gifted me with a disarming smile. But I haven't done much. I only asked them not to give any reasons for new accusations for now. I don't know how long that'll last. Suddenly Ellie no longer looked like the confident queen of the school, but just a normal girl who was bound unfairly by the laws of social interaction, same as I was. Probably even more. Much more. At least I could allow myself to be an outcast and not give a damn about anyone or anything. But only by being an elusive Joe nobody wanted to catch. In my daily life, the concept of honor only existed in chivalric novels. But for a girl living in a golden cage from birth, honor was above everything. At least that's how Kobayashi Jun must have raised Ellie. That's already a lot. But what are you going to do next? God damn it. Almost time for page 2. Once again, I don't feel like jumping to her defense right away is quite the answer. I don't feel like that's quite the answer. Maybe I'm going about it in the wrong way. I don't think it's the right answer. I haven't thought about that yet. I'm just solving issues as they come. Is that so? She frowned. Indeed, at the moment it was just empty babble. For now, I was only planning to talk to Kagome. Maybe your friend would be better transferring to another school. I said seriously. And there's only half a year left before graduation. Nick, don't you understand that nobody will help you fight windmills? Not me, not anyone else. Why me? Because up until now, Iwamura had somehow been around for 2.5 years without getting into trouble. The events of the last 2 weeks quickly came to mind. Indeed, it seemed not to have started with Catherine's return, but the moment I stood up for Kagome at the school gate. So it's all my fault. I'm not blaming you or anything, but think about it. She lowered her eyes, as if ashamed of her own bravery, but what she said was enough to throw me off balance. I don't know how to respond to that. Fine, don't say anything then. She stood on her toes, rolled around, walked to me, smiled, and hooked her arm around mine. We have a rehearsal today. Would you like to watch? Me? Now that was seriously strange. Are you sure that, considering the circumstances, it's appropriate? Besides, I don't know anybody from your band. I immediately remembered that weird keyboardist in sunglasses. Although, I guess I do. See, you're a complete stranger then. In another situation, I would have jumped at the opportunity to distract myself and see something new. But now, with the Catherine question unresolved in the KGB, when I brought Kagome's problems to a boiling point. On the other hand, people always postpone chances until later, saying now is the right time, that they have more important things to handle first, and that they'll get to them first thing. If I had a chest for missed opportunities at home, it would have been bursting by the time I turned 18. If you insist. Why do I feel like that was the rhombus? Why do I feel like that was the rhombus? The wrong choice. I'm going to save there. Okay, so and then we're gonna double back. We're gonna reload this one. Yeah, we're gonna reload this one real quick. We're just gonna reload it. I feel like maybe I do need because I feel like if I'm going into an event with Ellie, that means I've gone down the wrong choice. I've picked the wrong choice, right? I think that decision at the school gate, when you either agree with Ellie or jump to Iwamura's defense, it's not going to affect what comes next. More so as, what's going to lead to the next event. So let's see what happens when we defend Kagome here. Iwamura doesn't deserve this kind of treatment. If it's in my power to defend her, I will. Is that so? She frowned. Yeah, I know it sounds like a lazy answer, but I'm not the most serious person in the world either. I tried to play it off because I really didn't know what I was going to do next. For now, I was only planning to talk to Kagome. Maybe your friend will be transferred to a school, at least seriously, when there's only half a year. Indeed, so it's all my fault, I'm not blaming you. She lowered her eyes. I don't respond, fine, don't say anything. She started her toes, we have rehearsal, would you like to watch? Well, okay, oh, shit. Totally clicked out of the game. Before I cut back to the last save, let's see where this goes. Sunglasses guy. It's like the exact same dialogue, so I kind of figured. But oh, wait, no. Thing. If you insist. Okay, it's the same thing regardless. So I'm just gonna load. Go back to the previous file. I thought maybe I'd fucked up by but whatever. We move. My parents often chastise me for wanting immediate results for minimum effort. But thinking about it, isn't that attitude caused by failures inevitable in the process of maturing? For many people, the last thing they ever achieve by applying continuous effort over a span of time is a school diploma. What follows is a job with no prospects that soon becomes another vital habit, like eating. Maybe someone among them wanted to become a pianist, before realizing they have no talent. Another one always dreamed of scoring a goal at the World Championship, but was too sickly for it. Even the third person's desire to get into a technical college was never going to happen, since they didn't have the ability for the hard sciences. And after all that, you hear this pointless cliche that you didn't try hard enough. If each got according to his needs, there wouldn't be anyone to work in factories and grow rice. Objectively, only the rare few achieve success, while the conscientious and the diligent are at every corner. Especially here in Japan, with its centuries-old cult of hard work. While we were on our way to the rehearsal studio, I kept behind Ellie, staring at her back and trying to imagine her practicing the guitar, working her fingers bloody until she learned another riff. I tried, and just couldn't do it. It was much easier to imagine Ellie playing like a virtuoso, only an hour or two after picking up a guitar. I worked myself up so much I actually started feeling uncomfortable around her. Here we are. She turned around and interrupted me merrily. The studio, or rep base, as it'd be called in Russian, looked very normal. I've been to places like this once or twice in my life. The main difference was that the equipment here was significantly more expensive than what I had used. Looks like we're early. That's fine. Want to rehearse a bit? I don't really know. I felt very uncomfortable, the sensation growing stronger every minute. Come on. Well, there's nobody here. Alright. Ellie walked to the stand with the guitars and picked out one of the basses. Here you are. Carefully examined the guitar. Are you sure? Why? I don't think our bass player will mind. Actually, I meant its price. The guitar team's 5 times more expensive than the one I had at home. I don't know if you say so. We played the melody we'd been rehearsing the day before a few times. To my surprise, I noticed I was doing much better. Damn, Elle. Must have read our minds. When we finished, I turned around and saw the drummer and the second guitarist standing in the doorway. I'd actually be more correct to call him the first one, since Ellie was playing the rhythm. Hi guys, where? She got a bit embarrassed. Automatically stood up and put the bass away. Not bad at all. You need to work with a metronome more often. Yeah. I'm not really. I still don't get it. How'd you find out? Find out what? That Yamada's leaving the band. Yamada is what? Wait, so you didn't know? Of course I didn't. And who's he? Both of them stared at me in surprise. We go to the same school. I just invited him to the rehearsal. I see. The drummer and the guitarist appeared to be a couple years older than us and generally didn't look much like rock musicians. Anyway, where are our manners? My name's Ishida. I'm aiming to become a professional musician, just a part-timer for now. Shook my hand firmly. Quite a nice guy. Mitsuyoshi. I study arts. The drummer introduced himself briefly. Nick, I'm a high school student. I mumbled idiotically. Again, in an unfamiliar situation, my confidence disappeared without a trace. It's easy to be prepared for everything when absolutely nothing new happens in your life. Prepared only in name, although there might have been more to it. So what happened to Yamada? Ellie asked in a formidable voice. Elle, don't say it like it's our fault. I'm not blaming anybody, but we have a concert soon, an important one, you know that. Yamada said that his parents made him move to Kyoto with him. For how long? Forever. But Kyoto isn't that far, he could... How do you manage that? Ishida asked sadly. It's almost 500 kilometers. He's still studying at school, too. Ellie sighed heavily and didn't reply. I mean, he could have warned us in advance. Exactly, you don't just move all of a sudden. Yamada said he was hoping to stay here until the end. And of course, he didn't think about us, that we also need time to find and train a new bassist. The door opened and Zed's... Oh, it's Zed Feels, that's what it is. Zed Feels' keyboardist entered the room, still in his shining glasses. Nobody was expecting me, and here I am. Actually, everybody was expecting you. We have a rehearsal today. Awkward silence descended upon us, but the weird guy in glasses didn't seem to be embarrassed in the slightest. Nick, meet Tokyo Rider. Tokyo Rider? He asked us to call him that. Because I'm a free rider. Actually, we know each other a little. And I knew that our meeting wasn't just a coincidence. Whatever you say. Alright, back to Yamada. I look seriously upset. You can always just record his part. I'll never perform with a recording, especially on such an important day. I don't know what to do. I know someone in a university band. Well, they play funk actually, and I wouldn't say that. What's wrong with him? Tokyo Rider interrupted him and pointed at me. Huh? The others stared at me like they just found Paul McCartney in their studio or something. I'm not even a bass player. Just tried it a couple of times. I thought you were pretty alright. You weren't even here. I was standing behind the door. Why? I have nothing against him, but he doesn't know the material. 5 songs. Anyone can learn 5 songs. Hey, wait. We can simplify some bass parts, Ellie said thoughtfully. Even for choosing between that and performing without bass at all. I'm sure he can handle it. I mean, I wouldn't want to work with someone so inexperienced in rhythm, but... Would you wait a second? I shouted, and Zed Feels went silent. Don't you want to talk about it with me first? No, we're just discussing our options. Nobody's forcing you if you don't want to. I just can't believe this is really happening. Catherine, Kobayashi Corporation, the KGB, Kagome, and now they're asking me to play bass for Zed Feels? Was it all a dream? I forgot to even think about all my clearly more important problems. If you hesitate less and rehearse more, it'll all be fine. I don't really have much time to rehearse. What are you so busy with? Ellie asked without a shade of sarcasm. What am I busy with? Apparently I was staying at home and working myself up, imagining one disaster after another. Guys, I need to think this through. I finally managed to say, we'll need the answer no later than Monday. You can start learning the songs now. He gave me a pile of crumpled music sheets. Are you aware I have no idea how to read music? You'll figure it out. Well, since we're all here anyway. She'd handed me the bass I'd been torturing 5 minutes ago. Even if I ended up turning down their offer, I was honored to get to play with Zed Feels. even if it was only a rehearsal. Playing together with Ellie turned out to be much easier. Just a minute into it, I got so nervous that I started missing the rhythm and picking the wrong frets. However, nobody scolded or criticized me, quite the opposite. Everybody tried to encourage me and show me how to play the piece correctly. By the end of the rehearsal, I'd even managed to do a more or less okay, at least in my opinion, job of playing my bit. So how was it? It's fantastic, guys, just fantastic. I blurted out, wiping my forehead. I think you did pretty well too, so if you want... I still need to think about it. Alright.